moments now as the world continues to grapple with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Almaz Negash, the founder and executive director of the African Diaspora Network, says she foresees acceleration in areas like connectivity, finance, education, and healthcare. She joined me to explore the role of the diaspora community in Africa's resurgence from the COVID-19 pandemic shock. I'd like to get your take on how Africa has responded to this pandemic so far.
Well, I think from where I am, first of all, thank you for having me. From where I am in the United States, specifically in California, I hear some countries are doing well, some countries are not. But I think at the beginning, Africa really took this seriously, and many countries really tried to curtail it. South Africa is doing pretty well in terms of really having had pretty high number of infection, and now I think it's at the leveling down. The challenge with the continent is not just how many countries have it. I think it's the shutdown of the economy that I worry, and that we all worry as a diaspora, and I'm sure it's even harder for the lives and livelihoods of many people in the continent. We are not made to be separated from each other. So I see that as a challenge, but I can tell you, given the enormity of the challenge, the continent is doing as good as it can in terms of really managing it. But the question for us is always the economy. And so I'm proud of what is happening, but at the same time, it's not equal. We have 54 countries, and not every country is doing it the same way.
All right, definitely quite a lot of impact we're seeing across board here from what we said, but definitely the lockdowns over the months have impacted the pockets of countries across the world. But from where you sit as someone who deals with the diaspora community, I'd like to know how much this has impacted the diaspora community's support structure and also the arsenal to come together to donate funds for the continent at this time.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenge, which is very unfortunate, but that's just the reality of Africa being really much beneficiary of remittances. The diaspora gives more than $40 billion, sends more than $40 billion in remittance to the continent. The majority receiver being Nigeria, which makes sense. It's also the largest country. So Nigeria, being one of the largest countries in the continent, receives also the most in remittances. One of the challenges remittances has been since COVID, it's going down. And the reason it is because a lot of the diasporans who send money back to their home country, to their families and friends, they also don't have jobs. If you know, in the United States, unemployment is high. A lot of the jobs that hire many people, immigrants and non-immigrants, is also slow, starting from transportation to hospitality to many different sectors. So that, I think, is a big impact. The question always is, what are we going to do to mitigate that challenge? Because it's not just about what the continent receives as a whole, but it's also the very family that get that funding. And more on the side of, and I've always advocated, remittances alone is not enough. We need to figure out how to convert some part of the remittance into investment so that families don't have to always be dependent on individuals sending money to them. We need to figure out how to really create a sustainable economy, not only for the continent, but also for the individuals.
When you look at the collaborations that we're seeing taking place across board, I'd like you to speak to the importance of having that very coordinated diaspora response coming together.
Well, every African country is different in the way in which it deals with diaspora, but I can give you some examples of coordinated response. For example, Nigeria has a very good program that is integrated plan for diaspora engagement. Ethiopia has the same one. I believe Kenya, South Africa, Ghana. What that means is also other countries, but I think these come to the top to me. What that means is having an intentional and well-coordinated relationship with your diaspora. It actually enables you to mitigate this kind of challenge when there is an economic turn. The other big thing about the diaspora is our economic, not only about financial support to the countries where we come from, or to other countries for that matter. It's also our ability to provide access to resources besides money. It could be knowledge, money. I'm sorry that Sally is not here with us, but at the last week meeting that we had here, we had him speak, and one of the things he really encouraged the diaspora to do is to really have an individual with capacity to provide direct health services to the continent through telemedicine, or encourage to aid healthcare workforce in Africa. I think there are so many specific things that the diaspora can do. And then the other thing is really, given the challenge we have with COVID right now, one of his call to action was a diagnostic accelerator, and this would require funding. The initiatives will happen across Africa, different parts of Africa, because they need different kind of support. Is looking at really working on the infrastructure for distribution of medical resources. This could be done by diasporans who have that expertise, or may even have the resources. He also said something that stuck with me. What he told us during the conference was, Africa is not lacking money. We're lacking human capital, the knowledge. And what he's asking is, could some of the diasporans who are capable to come back to the continent, in whichever country that they are able to support and to help with this scaling of production, especially of COVID. Once the vaccination is coming, how do you distribute it equally and equitably throughout the continent? So there are so many different things that the diaspora can do. But if you want to look at it from where we are today, related to COVID, I think there's a role for the diaspora to play. I also want to say one thing related to this. There are very many Africans, well-educated doctors in the outside of the continent than in the continent. So there's an opportunity for each country and collectively to tap into that knowledge and expertise.
All right, Almaz, definitely quite a lot to when you talk about the role of the diaspora community. But I'd also like you to speak on remittances. You know, we know African countries over the years have come to depend on remittances, you know, and for their economies. But I would like you to speak to get from you, you know, the kind of feedback you are getting on remittance flow.
So one of the things I even mentioned earlier, and I'm happy to talk about that. So remittances are good. They do good to the individual families who receive the money. I mean, if you really think about many different countries, the small and the medium-sized countries, including the large countries like Nigeria, they benefit from remittances. When we talk about individual families whose kids are overseas and are sending money, that's actually a livelihood for that family. The question is not about whether the diaspora will continue to send or not send remittances to their families and friends. I think the question I would like to continue to speak about is, what are we going to do to scale remittances instead of just sending the family alone, which is creating in some ways dependency. Why I say that is, when I don't have a job, if I don't have a job and I have a big family that depends on me, what happens to them? It's what we are seeing right now. It's going to be decreased. I may not be able to give that money. That family would actually be crippled. That we need to think about. What are we going to do? There are studies about this. Is not Africa the only continent that gets remittances? Many immigrants send remittances to their own home country and families. I think the question that we need, that we the diaspora continue to discuss about, is how can we scale remittances? In fact, today I will be participating at a conference put together by my wonderful Nigerian friend, Thelma Ikior. I'm going to just shout out for her, talk exactly about what you're talking about. How can we use the diaspora money to create an impact investment fund for women entrepreneurs, not only in Nigeria, but across Africa? So I think those are the kind of things that we need to talk about. And I do believe the African Union it had an RFP, a request for proposal, to create a remittances fund, but mainly an impact fund or a venture fund that could be above and beyond just remittances. for the money that we send, we also save a little bit of money. So the idea is, can we tap into the savings of the diaspora to make a certain amount of that money, whether it's 10% or 15% or even 5%, to go into investment? We need to think long term. First of all, we need to think post-COVID, because COVID will go, but there are many, many people and many livelihoods being impacted negatively. How are we going to deal with that? And that, I think, is urgency, in my opinion, which is why I woke up early to speak with you. And I will be going back after this one to speak to my friends with Thelma. Also, Lagos time, I believe, is 6 a.m. my time. And these are important issues that we need to address. We need to put our money where it's necessary. We need to support and find different ways to support communities in Africa. It cannot be just remittances. Remittances is good. That's not enough, in my opinion.
All right, definitely quite a lot to look out for, definitely, but then we'll be in touch to get more on what is playing out for the diaspora community and how they can be of help as the continent continues to grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you so much for your time on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I've been speaking to Almaz Negash. She's the founder and executive director of the Africa Diaspora Network. And that's it on Beyond Markets for today. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. Definitely, you can catch the show at 5 p.m. West Africa time daily and have access to all episodes of Beyond Markets on our website. That's at cnbcafrica.com. For me and the team, enjoy the rest of your day.